This is the Nine Dragons, one of the most innovative yo-yos that allows you to grab it while it's still spinning. So in this video, I'm going to use it to see how it works, discover new trick possibilities, and attempt various challenges. Let's get started. Okay, so when it comes to regular yo-yos, a common ground rule is to not grab it while it's spinning because the yo-yo will grind to a halt. But that's not exactly the case with this yo-yo, the Nine Dragons. Not only can you grab it, you can even move it around, or just put it down somewhere and it'll continue to spin while you're left wondering, how's that possible? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Think of this yo-yo in two parts. First, you've got the yo-yo itself, which is metal, and second are these plastic shells that cover the outside. However, these shells are able to spin separately from the yo-yo. So when you're holding this yo-yo, you're not really holding the yo-yo per se, you're actually gripping the shells while the yo-yo spins inside them. And because this technology allows you to break such a fundamental rule, tricks that were once impossible are now possible with the Nine Dragons. One of my favorite examples of this is the AND trick. You may be familiar with the DNA yo-yo trick. Well, the AND is just that, but upside down. That's impossible. But that's where you'd be wrong, because an impossible trick like this is what the Nine Dragons was made for.
Because all I have to do is throw it, grab it, and I can just hold it upside down now, and because it's still spinning.
Now while we're on the topic of AND, my boy Angel2Up does these DNA AND combos by switching between them. And I think his current record is like 8.
So I'm challenging myself to beat that right now.
10, 11? Oh, let's go!
Okay, that was pretty cool, but the AND is just one of many impossible tricks made possible by the Nine Dragons. And I've got even more impossible tricks to show you, but first, it's worth mentioning that the Nine Dragons is an unresponsive yo-yo, meaning it won't come back to your hand with just a tug. Instead, you'll need to do a trick called the bind to bring it back. And because it's unresponsive, that means you can also use the Nine Dragons for a variety of regular string tricks as well. You're not just limited to impossible tricks, as weird as that sounds. And better yet, it even lets you cheat a little bit. This might just be the Nine Dragons' most overlooked feature. Let's say you're learning a trick like Double or Nothing, where the yo-yo swings around both hands and lands on the front string. Well, if you're having trouble with that last part, you can literally just grab the yo-yo while it's spinning and place it on the string yourself. Or if the yo-yo starts to tilt off the string, you can manually correct it. Another trick that's challenging at first is the finger spin, which is critical for learning the DNA. Even if the yo-yo has one of these finger spin dimples, you still have to hop the yo-yo up just right to land it on your finger, or carefully place your finger underneath the yo-yo before the spin runs out. But with the Nine Dragons, you just hold it sideways and place it on your finger that way. But that's enough about regular tricks. Let's get back to some more impossible tricks, like this one called Hot Potato, where you throw it back and forth as many times as you can before the spin runs out. And while I'm setting my record, here's some other cool tricks.
Drained it!
Alright, that was a pretty good round. That's my score. Let me know in the comments if you're able to beat that at home. And this one is called Dragon Trap, where you catch the yo-yo in between your fingers. I recently did this trick in a yo-yo battle with Gentry Stein and Brandon Vu, where we all had to make up 3 impossible tricks to see who was the Nine Dragons champion. And during the battle, Brandon did a trick called the Penitent Man,
Which I'm gonna attempt to learn.
But first, I want to let you know that if you're looking for a Nine Dragons yo-yo to perform impossible tricks like the AND, Dragon Trap, or even create your own impossible tricks, you can pick yours up right now on my website, lucasdeckeryoyo.com. So make sure to head over there to snatch your Nine Dragons, otherwise you might be left with 0 dragons if they sell out. The site will be the first link in the description below.
Alright, so it starts with a horizontal throw, catches it under the leg, followed by a sideways DNA. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go!
Now, in addition to doing impossible tricks, this yo-yo is also pretty fun to just randomly fidget with. Like moving it around while it's spinning so it makes these weird noises. Or pull starting it halfway and letting it wind back up. What about taking the string off and spinning the inside, kind of like one of those fidget spinners? You guys remember those? And my personal favorite is to get it spinning really fast and try to balance it at an angle. Okay, so let's say your 9 dragons just arrived in the mail. You're throwing down some impossible tricks, but you accidentally get a knot caught inside the yo-yo. The best way to pull these out is with a toothpick, but if it's really stubborn, you may need to take the yo-yo apart. Now normally, you would just twist it apart, remove the knot, put the string back on, and you're back in the game. But when you try to twist the 9 dragons apart,
Yo, these shells just keep spinning around.
instead, you just have to take your palms and press them on the sides of the yo-yo to unscrew it that way. And when it comes to putting on a new string, you just untwist the end and slide it over the top like a normal yo-yo.
And by the way, these shells glow in the dark.
So now that we're back in action, it's time for some more impossible tricks. And here's one I call Dimension Switch, where you perform a regular combo, then turn the yo-yo sideways to switch to a horizontal combo. This might come as a surprise, but the 9 dragons is actually a great yo-yo for horizontal tricks. See, when you do horizontal tricks with a regular yo-yo, the string presses against the side and slows down the yo-yo. But in the 9 dragons case, the shells actually prevent the string from touching the yo-yo itself, and this reduces a lot of friction when you're doing your horizontal combos. Now remember that impossible trick battle I mentioned earlier? Well, Gentry Stein threw down this trick with a lot of horizontal elements, so I tried to replicate it as best I could. But Brandon Vu opened up an entire new category of impossible tricks by doing one called Double Dragon with, you guessed it, 2 9 dragons yo-yos. Not to mention, one of them was disconnected from the string.
Alright, we're gonna try that. Ooh, let's go!
But why stop at just 2 9 dragons when we could do a trick with 4?
This next idea is pretty out there, but I want to try making a 9 dragon zip line.
I'm gonna use these stands as the start and end points, and to connect them, we'll use this stuff called Trick Shot String that lets you make custom length yo-yo strings.
Alright, I think that should be good.
And I also added this bucket to catch the yo-yos at the end.
Alright, first attempt at the yo-yo zip line. Here we go. Okay.
So after this first test, I realized the yo-yo was a little too heavy and almost made this tall post fall over.
So I'm gonna help it out and add some weight. Let's go! Let's go! So the yo-yo zip line is a massive success, but I want to try and sink 4 yo-yos in a row. Last one. Let's go!
Now you've probably noticed that I've mentioned the impossible yo-yo battle several times throughout this video. Well, that's because despite my best effort, I ended up placing dead last. And in order to redeem myself, I've been learning the tricks they use to beat me throughout this video. So for this last bit, I'm gonna attempt to learn the final 3 tricks and become a 9 dragons champion, starting with roulette.
Okay, goes around the neck, whips it over the head, flips it, and a lasso bind. That trick is sick.
I'm not gonna lie, this one took quite a few tries. The hardest part was definitely that overhead whip, as well as the roulette that followed.
Now the reason why the trick is called roulette is because when you flip the yo-yo like that, it's either gonna be spinning forwards or backwards. And if it's spinning backwards when you do the lasso bind, it's not gonna come back to your hand.
But after some trial and error, and a bit of luck, I was able to hit the entire trick in one take.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
Next up was a Brandon Vu trick called Impromptu.
Okay, so it starts with a little Texas cowboy action. Then he flips the string over his feet and a behind the back DNA. Okay.
This one wasn't too bad.
Oh, dang it.
Honestly, it felt more like a workout than a yo-yo trick because after a few attempts, I was starting to break a sweat.
Let's go.
And the final trick was the Ronaldo by Gentry Stein.
Okay, so this is very similar to a trick I showed you guys earlier in the video. The only difference is that he's just bouncing it off of his feet. Oh. Ow! Alright, I'm putting some shoes on first.
Although this trick was simple in concept, it ended up being one of the most difficult and most time-consuming tricks I had ever tried. The most frustrating part was that every time the yo-yo hit my shoe, it would just bounce off in a random direction.
Okay.
I kept thinking to myself, maybe there's a certain technique I'm missing, but no matter how many adjustments I made, it just wasn't clicking for me.
Ooh, maybe I gotta hit it more like the top of my foot. Maybe not.
And every time I thought I had it figured out,
It looks like he's actually pinching the string. Yo, okay, that's a game changer right there.
that turned out to not be the case. And after hours of failed attempts, all I could do was keep trying until I landed the trick.
It's just gonna be a matter of patience now. Yo.
Honestly guys, that trick took such a long time to hit, I didn't even have any energy to celebrate. But at least now, I'm a 9 Dragons champion. And that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to pick up your 9 Dragons on the way out using the first link in the description below. Thanks for watching.